Welcome to Chai with Manjula. As the world continues to get smaller and we become more interconnected across borders, it is essential for us to understand and respect each other's heritage and culture. And the best starting point for that is in our schools. With this objective, our guest has launched a teacher assistance program to broaden children's perspectives. A visual communications and advertising professional, she is the founder and director of a nonprofit organization called India in Classrooms. Let's meet Mona Vijaykar. Mona, welcome to Chai with Manjula.
Hi, Manjula, and it's such a pleasure and what an honor to be on Chai with Manjula.
Well, pleasure is mine.
Thank you. I have something, a little something for you. Not only is this the symbol of India in classrooms, but
what is it?
It represents something that you are doing. You know, we all light these little lamps, but you are helping to spread the glow, Manjula. And what an amazing service this is.
Thank you so much. That's so thoughtful of you, and it's so pretty. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you like it.
Well, over the years, you have been very busy. You have done so much work. You have written children's books. You have done children's plays here in the Bay Area and in Bangalore also when you were there for a few years. And then you went on to launch India in Classrooms. And that's what I would like to talk about today. What is India in Classrooms about?
Well, India in Classrooms is a teacher assistance program, and it has been designed specifically to help dispel stereotypes and misrepresentations about the Indian civilization in schools. So the program is actually tied in to the curriculum on social studies and history for the 6th grade, the standard curriculum for 6th grade in California.
I see. So how did you even think about it, and why was it so important?
Well, long before I even launched India in Classrooms, I was always very concerned about this one, the phenomenon of the ABCDs. I thought that was very unfair.
Well, let's tell our audience what ABCD is
in
case they don't know.
Yes, that's right. It stands for American Born Confused Desis, and Desis refers to children of Indian origin. And I thought that, you know, if we brought mainstream awareness about the Indian civilization and their heritage, then these children would no longer be confused or ashamed of their background.
True.
And they would become American-born confident Desis. So that was my main concern. But then the time I really sat up was when my son came home one day and he said, "Mama, please don't be upset, but my social studies teacher said that Roman and Greek civilization dominate the rest." So that really made me think, and of course I talked to the teacher very nicely. I explained to him that every civilization has contributed to our modern civilization. But that's really what got me going. And when I began to express my concerns, it was the superintendent of the school district who suggested to me that it might help if I formed an organization. That way I could bring about this knowledge in a more organized manner.
I see.
Schools.
I see.
So that's when it started.
Okay, so how do you go about dispelling misrepresentations or stereotypes or creating an accurate picture of Indian history and culture, like you said?
Well, it's a multi-pronged effort. You know, we can't just go about it in one way. So what I've done is I've used every possible medium. You know, I wrote the children's books a long time ago, so that was to bring children into Indian homes and to find out what it is that children deal with, what kind of difficulties Indian American children deal with. But then there's this Globosaurus program that I have for children, which also brings a deeper understanding of Vedanta to children of Indian origin. And with the India in Classrooms, what I do is I approach a lot of parents. I go to various cities and I have introductory sessions in the libraries so that I can bring this awareness to other parents, let them understand what it is that your children are facing. So that's how parents get to know, and then they refer me to the schools.
I see.
So the teachers contact me directly and they get to know exactly what I'm doing. I let them see my website, which is indiainclassrooms.org. So they go through the website and they understand what it's all about.
Okay, so what does it have? What's the process, or what does it include, your presentations and all? What's the content? Which areas do you
different
focus
levels. One is that through the social studies program, the teacher invites me into the classroom for 45 minutes. And that's when I show them my slides. I bring a presentation. I focus on 3 key misrepresentations. We can't bring too much knowledge within that much time for children because their attention span is very limited. But what I do is I focus on the misrepresentations such as Aryan invasion theory. Now, this is something that is always talked about in the textbooks, that, and it's also there in the curriculum, that they refer to the Aryans invading the Indian peninsula. So these are some things that need to be clarified. And I present that this is just a theory. I talk to them about why it is not an invasion. I explain the meaning of Aryan to them, how it does not represent a race, but it actually talks about people who are cultured. So it has nothing to do with people coming in and invading. The other thing I talk about is polytheism, which is another misrepresentation. They talk about many gods, and that needs to be explained that it is one God that Hindus believe in, and all of the many so-called gods are multiple representations of the same being. And the third thing is the caste system. That is something that, again, the school curriculum always focuses on, and it's not explained that it has nothing to do with Hinduism. It is actually a social order. It was a very efficient social order which was abused by teachers, no doubt. But the fact is that these are things that need to be explained in the right manner. And in fact, we don't have the time, but I did print out some of the questions that they have for the sixth grade. And these are some of the things that they focus on. Those points that they cover in the lesson typically bring out only the negative aspects of the Indian civilization. For example, they say discuss the significance of the Aryan invasions, explain the major beliefs and practices of Brahmanism. So again, you know, it leads to the caste system. So nowhere does it allow the children to go deeper into the aspects of Indian civilization where it has impacted the globe, where India's history and culture has had a deeper influence on the science, art, philosophy of the world.
I see.
That is what needs to come out, where India's significance, global significance needs to come out.
Okay, great. So that is one thing, you go to classrooms. Any other programs that you have besides going to 6th grade students?
Well, out of goodwill, I go to a lot of other classrooms. I go to children's schools where I've written songs for children, like Round and Round, the Roti Rolls. So it's to bring out positive aspects of our food, so that young Indian children also start to feel good about their food. You know, I go into the school and actually, while making a roti, sing the song to them. So I find that the kids are more interested in the culture.
So there are two things happening here. The Indo-American kids are gaining confidence from it, and the non-Indian kids are gaining accurate information about India.
Absolutely. And in fact, I should tell you that this is something that typically happens every time I walk into a classroom. The Indian children look very embarrassed, and they all start to slide under their seats, into their seats, you know. And as the presentation begins to generate interest among their peers, their non-Indian peers, and I've heard children say, it's awesome, you know, the things that I talk about. And you see these Indian children sitting up and looking around, and they feel so good about it. And then they write some really nice letters, you know, when they say, thank you for a more informed presentation. You know, and that is important.
I read somewhere that you also have a program where you take a group of students and give them like a 1-week orientation about India. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. This is one school, the girls' middle school, that always invites me. They invite me twice a year.
Where is it?
It's in Mountain View. And it's a wonderful school where they have a week-long intersession. And during this intersession, the girls are exposed to different things. You know, it could be anything from woodworking to surfing, and so they get to choose. And I'm so thrilled that every year they've been choosing India in classrooms. And sometimes I've had as many as 12 students, sometimes as 6 students. So I bring them from their school for that whole week, and I introduce them to different aspects of Indian culture through activities. So, you know, they have fun, but then I make sure that they get the deeper aspects of the civilization.
Okay.
I show them videotapes and of Mahatma Gandhi. Many of them don't know who he was and how he influenced American history.
I see.
So I bring that connection, and that is my overall objective, is to make the children see that they are in so many ways connected culturally. The East and the West is so connected.
Now, when you talk about Indian culture and history, Hinduism is a big part of it. And you said you do talk about, gods and all that. So, how is your program perceived? Is it mistaken for a religious initiative sometimes? How do you address that?
So that's absolutely true, that a lot of parents themselves are not familiar with the curriculum. And so they sort of misunderstand my objectives. And they always ask me, how can you talk about religion? And I tell them, direct them to the curriculum. I tell them, look, it is there. And that's one thing. Secondly, interestingly enough, when I go into the classrooms, the teachers themselves say, Mona, skip the history. Can you please explain Hinduism?
Oh.
So what I do is I try to explain it in the language that the children can understand.
I see.
I simplify it, and I know I'm very cognizant of the fact that there are many, many different forms of Hindu practices.
Yeah.
But what I do is I bring it down to the lowest common denominator. What is the popular understanding is that there is one God. And I bring it down to scientific terminology, that it is energy and different forms of energy that we have personified. So the children understand, and mainly I use the language of graphic design, which is my forte. Is what
Right.
So I use graphics to explain these concepts. For example, I talk about Vishnu being a form of potential energy, and which is dormant energy. So Vishnu is shown lying on a snake, which is the coils of time.
So these are symbols.
These are symbols, and these explain some very deep physics concepts. These are symbols of deeper knowledge, and that's when I decode the symbols.
I see.
I explain exactly what they really represent, and that's what makes a lot of sense to the children. So it helps.
Okay, your background is actually advertising and visual communications. So how did you make this switch, and how did you acquire all this knowledge, and how are you able to convince schools that there are actually inaccuracies and it's not something that you perceive as inaccuracies?
Well, I think first of all it was meant to be, and that's why over the years I acquired all of these various experiences which came together very beautifully. I didn't know when I was studying graphic design that this is how I was actually going to be using it. The logical process would have been to go into advertising or to some kind of communication, but I didn't realize it was this communication that I would actually. So, and that being an immigrant, being a mother, all of these experiences came together.
But did you refer to scriptures like Vedas and Puranas and Bhagavad Gita?
Oh, absolutely. There was a period of time, I still am a student of Vedanta, which is an amazing experience because I learn a lot through that. But more than that, there was a period of time when I was constantly reading, I was just devouring books, and one of my mentors happens to be Dr. Subhash Kak, who has written that book, In Search of the Cradle of Civilization.
I see.
An amazingly knowledgeable being. And so I also have managed to present some of my work at a conference in Atlanta where I spoke before a person who, an esteemed person. He is Dr. Sudarshan George, who was nominated for the Physics Nobel Prize at one time. And when I presented this, he came up to me and said, at any time that you need any kind of reference, do come and approach me. So that for me was a huge...
so you have given this presentation in front of experts.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Area.
That's what has given me the confidence to keep going. And the children, when they respond, I know that I'm making a difference.
Okay, so Mona, let's watch the video clip that you have brought.
Sure.
And after that, we'll carry on our conversation.
Absolutely.
Here's this. What is this a symbol of? Okay, it's a symbol of peace. Do you think this would also be a symbol of peace?
Yes. Mahatma Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi. Now here's a picture that I've drawn of Mahatma Gandhi with 3 heads, 5 arms, and camel's legs. Do you think that's what he really looked like?
No.
I wanted to explain to you that when you see pictures of various gods and things from India, what you need to know is these are not many gods. These are all pictures of the same god, but that are shown as representations. Now, this is my representation of whom? What does Mahatma Gandhi have to do with American history? Okay, tell me, who was the person who conducted brain surgery in India 2,600 years ago? Sushruta. Can you say Sushruta? He conducted. Now, does he look like a surgeon to you? No. That's because in ancient India, the people who tried to understand science were the same people who were very, very knowledgeable, and they were like sages.
I just like how you said how all religions are connected in some way and they all mean the same thing. We never learned about this, this detailed in 6th grade.
I actually think this would be interesting to people in temples, people that are in churches. I think people that are in my family, my children are half Indian, but even I think a lot of Hindus would be interested in knowing too.
Hi Mona, this is absolutely great. We're really glad you came over. This is especially good for our kids who are born in the US, and we didn't always know the background of our culture and religion. We knew there were deeper meanings into the symbolisms that we have, and you've done a great job of putting the slides together and explaining it in a modern way.
I have been so fortunate to have Mona Vijaykar come speak to my class for several years now. She really is a wonderful teacher, and she does this for free, and she teaches my class so much about ancient India and modern India and the culture and the history and the knowledge, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to have an expert, a source, a first-hand primary source come and teach your children about India. I have never been to India, and so I've just loved every time she's come. I've learned more and more about this subject that I'm supposed to be an expert in, so I'm thankful for her coming.
Welcome back. Our guest is Mona Vijaykar, founder and director of Indian Classrooms. Mona, that gave us a good idea of how you are working in the classrooms, and the feedback from children, parents, and teachers says it all. Actually, I see in the papers here you have a lot of letters of appreciation from parents and children again, and I would like to read a few of them. There's a teacher, Pamela Dovala, a teacher in Saratoga Middle School, who says, "Thanks to your efforts, Mona, I feel so much more confident to teach my students about India." And then Ann Adams, a 6th grade teacher in Los Altos, says, "Mona Vijaykar has done a fabulous job as an ambassador for India. She selflessly teaches countless students, teachers, and others of the wonders of India's history, culture, religion, art, architecture, aesthetic, and intellectual tradition." And then you have Anna Williams, a 6th grade teacher in Cupertino, who says, "Indeed, the India in Classroom program is a beacon for teachers who want to gain a better understanding of India." Margaret Scott, principal of Girls Middle School in Mountain View, says she thanks you and says, "What an incredible experience the students had with you." And there's feedback from Sergio Vasquez, Stewart High School in San Francisco, Stewart Hall High School.
And that's a Catholic school, huh?
Oh, okay, it's a Catholic school. And he says, "Your visit was a wonderful experience, not just for our students, but for our adult community as well." And, I mean, it goes on and on. There's Sandy Yakota, 6th grade teacher in San Jose, who says, "I know students have a much better understanding of Indian culture, geography, and history because of your visit." And then you have newspaper clippings here acknowledging your work. There's an article in Mercury News saying, "Putting a spotlight on Indian history." And then India Abroad article is titled, "Mona Vijaykar battles to get misrepresentations of India removed from textbooks." Then you have San Jose Mercury writing about your work, and it's titled, "Mission to Educate." So it's wonderful work that you are doing, obviously. And how many schools have you worked with, or how many presentations you have given, or workshops, or I believe you do teacher seminars also. So give us a sense of work that you are doing.
I've been busy most of the time. It's anytime someone invites me, whether it is someone at the Rotary Club or it's at a church or schools. I've just been going wherever people call me at the drop of a hat.
Okay, and we must tell our viewers that your services are free. It's a self-funded organization.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
you go anywhere for free.
Absolutely. I think the universe really conspires to help you. You know, I've been given the circumstances where I can afford to pursue what I'm meant to do. So I'm very fortunate for that.
So how many presentations do you think you have given by now?
You know, it's I would say over 200 presentations.
Wow, that's remarkable.
And it's just, you know, wherever schools ask me, most of them have been listed on my website.
Okay, so you give presentations, you give teacher seminars.
Yes,
you have a Globosaurus program, which is for little children.
No, this is also for children from 7 to 17 years. Actually, that's based more on deeper Vedanta.
Okay, so I believe Globosaurus is for Indo-American children.
It's for Indian children to get a deeper understanding of Hinduism through Vedanta.
Okay. And then you have those 1-week workshops.
And then I have the workshops.
Okay, so these are the 3-4 models.
Workshops, the different models. And
this is
and then I have theatre also, where I wrote plays for children and through the play, oh yes. In fact, I'm working on a new play that hopefully would work. It is Watch Out for the Globosaurus.
I see. And Globosaurus stands for what?
It's just
what is this phenomenon?
Term that I've coined, and that refers to the global citizen. So it really includes all of us.
Okay.
And
so what will it take for Indian classrooms to reach the next level when more and more schools, all the schools in the Bay Area, not only in the Bay Area but across the country, adopt this program and benefit from it?
Dream. I think it would be
especially
wonderful.
Because it's free also.
It's free, and I think if more parents, more like-minded parents, not just parents, any individual who feels that there is a need for us to create a global understanding, a deeper understanding, and for children to be given a broader perspective of history, of our world history, then we could get involved, because this is not just about India. My broader objective is that children see their connection, and that they begin to have mutual respect. I think that a lot of the distrust and disharmony that we have in the world today is because of this ignorance. So we can bring knowledge, and only when we join hands can we do that. So if parents can come and join in this effort, instead of giving ad hoc presentations, because teachers invite parents, and if we are not responsible at that time to do our homework.
So parents have a major role to play.
A major role to play, I think, because they are there in the school, and if they are vigilant about what is being taught to their child, then they can actually help. Either they can themselves use the material that I have on the website, they can download my slides, and they can present themselves, or they can actually invite me, and I can go wherever they ask me to come.
Okay, so then it's a very practical approach. Then other cities and states can also take advantage of your program, because you said they can present it themselves. You have it online, or you can send the package to them.
Oh, absolutely. And not just in America. There are people I know who have contacted me from different parts of the world.
I see.
And in Australia, New Zealand, people have written to me from there saying that we've enjoyed seeing your slides, and we actually use them in our classroom.
Oh, so they are
using it. So there are people
already.
who do take advantage of what I have put up on my website. And but the more we can do together, particularly as far as influencing the county. Because I know that the school principal said to me the other day that, Mona, it is difficult for us for you to have credibility, because that we don't hear more parents expressing this.
Okay, so parents are the driving force.
They need to.
So more and more parents should get familiar with it and ask their schools.
And speak up, and not be afraid to, because I'll give you an example. There is a book called The Homeless Bird, which is a reader in the 6th grade. And this book has been written by someone who has never visited India, but she's taken this very stereotypical situation, which is normally hyped up in Western society. It's about a young girl who's married to an old man, and how she survives that. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen in India, but you're giving these children a book like this you're exposing children to a book like this, then you might as well have the memoirs of a geisha when you talk about Japan and China. You know, so what I'm saying is that you have to know what are you presenting to the children, give them a balanced picture. And in this book they talk about throwing cow dung at one another for Holi. So these are all misrepresentations, and parents you know, complain about it to me, but they don't talk to the school. So what happens then is that the school does not really get, and unless the school is given the right idea through parents, they won't have the incentive to make any difference.
So the responsibility lies with the parents.
Definitely.
Okay. On that note, what is your message for our viewers?
My message is primarily to the teachers. I would say that you have the power to either create prejudice among young minds by giving them a limited perspective of the world, or you can open up their minds, and that's what India in Classrooms is about. I see with my third eye, or mind's eye. And you can open minds by giving them a broader and deeper understanding of our world history. And this is where it's very important to know that the Indian civilization was at one time a global power. That should come out, and that is a very important, critical, missing link in our world history. And if we bring about that understanding, we will not only generate better understanding about the world, but we'll also foster mutual respect among children. And I hope that the teachers honor their profession by doing this, by giving our children a proper perspective of history. The reason it is important to parents, which I think is very, very important, is that we owe it to our children that they understand that they are global citizens, they are connected, and that is really the title of my presentation, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that children understand that they are connected globally. We are connected by linguistics, we are connected through tradition, culture. Once we understand that, there will be a lot more trust. And I think that is really what knowledge brings peace, and ignorance is what brings chaos. And that's what I'm trying to do here.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Manju, for giving
Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Congratulate you for the work that you are doing. It's a crucial service that you are giving to not only the Indo-American community, but to the community at large, because the world that we live in today is very important to have global intercultural understanding, and you are focusing on that, and I hope you get the support you need, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And all the best to you too, Manjula. And I'd like to say namaste to all your viewers.
Well, that's all we have for you today. Our guest was Mona Vijaykar, founder and director of India in Classrooms, an organization in the Bay Area that is focused on creating a better understanding of Indian culture and history. For more information, you may visit her website, indiainclassrooms.org. And you may watch this show again at chaiwithmanjula.org. Thank you all for joining us. I'll be back with another inspiring story about giving and people making a difference. For Chai with Manjula, I'm Manjula Gupta. See you next time.